All right, welcome to the Golden State Take, where we talk about your favorite Bay Area sports teams. My name is Yanni. This is Danny. We're going to kick it off with the Sacramento A's, talk about their offseason, how they finished last year, and what to be excited for this year.
Yeah,
Danny, you
sounds
want to
good.
start us off?
Well, they were a 76 win team last year, and they made a couple additions in the offseason, adding Jeff McNeil, Aaron Savali. But I think they go into next season with kind of a similar structure in terms of a really exciting core of position players. You got a lot of young guys who, to get excited about, I think have a lot of potential. And even with the Savali addition, you still have some concerns in the rotation, and I think a lot of question marks in the bullpen. So I kind of expect to see a team with a really exciting offense and some high scoring games.
No, I 100% agree with that. I'm excited and interested to see this team this year. They have a bunch of young talent who performed well last year. I mean, they had the Rookie of the Year, runner up to Rookie of the Year. So they have all the talent in the world, those young guys. It's only a matter of time and a little bit more development that they need to eventually get to the point where they're leading this franchise. So that's going to be exciting. But like you said, the pitching is going to be their Achilles heel this year. Um, as a whole, starters, relievers, they don't have a true closer. It just seems like they have more questions than answers right now.
Yeah,
And I know we talked about this last year. The relievers did play pretty well and perform pretty well. Hopefully, they can transfer it into this year. I know that's what they're hoping for, but I do think there's going to be a lot of games this year where it's 8-6, 9-7 games that more or less they should probably win, but um, and they hit well enough. They produced enough offense to win those games, but ultimately, I think their pitching will probably let them down more times than not this year, and that's what's gonna hold them back, in my opinion. That's what I think at least. So,
yeah.
what are you? Are there any particular players that you're more focused on this year that you're really expecting big things out of in particular? Or
I'm interested to see how Denzel Clark does. It sounds like they're going to give him the everyday center field spot, and he's had a pretty promising minor league career to this point.
yeah,
He's a great athlete. He's going to be a real threat on the base paths. So it'll be interesting to see if he can come in and really complement that core that they've assembled. Because if he pans out and can start contributing right away, you combine him with Lawrence Butler and Kurtz and Jacob Wilson. Now you have kind of McNeil and Rooker and some older guys as mainstays in the lineup, and I think um, there's a lot to get excited about there.
for sure. I think, and I mean, really, what it comes down with the A's, and really in our lifetime, is they've never struggled to acquire young talent, to develop prospects. Their challenge and their Achilles heel has always been, what do we do after that? We have these great young players, but instead of giving them those contracts, instead of building around them, they trade them off, get new prospects, and it's just been a constant Ferris wheel with those with that routine. And so, hopefully, I'm expecting with that move to Vegas coming up that should change. I hope it changes because I do think they have the the foundation to be something special.
Yeah, I
It's
agree.
really just a matter of if they put it together and let it play out. So, do you think that with the ownership, with the move that they're expecting in the next couple of years, do you expect that to change, or do you think it's just going to be kind of the same old days for the future?
I think I expect it to change, and I think we've started to see some signs of it changing. I mean, the deal they gave Severino indicates a franchise that's more willing to spend on the free agent market, and they also gave Lawrence Butler a long-term extension pretty early on in his career. So I think they're starting to demonstrate more of a willingness to both sign talent externally and keep the guys that they've developed around. And I think for them to have any sort of following in Vegas and generate any kind of excitement going into that move, that's the way they have to approach these next few years. So I would expect to see more of that. I think they're going to try to generate a lot of interest and try to show that they're willing to add and willing to keep their core before making such a big move.
Yeah, well, and you also you alluded to it with the move. I think the A's are in a position where they've seen in the last 10 years two teams go to Vegas. One has been successful, one hasn't. And I think if you're the A's, you have to look at what the Vegas Golden Knights did to become successful, and you have to look at what the Raiders have done thus far. because one team has had success there, one team hasn't.
Hmm.
Even though Vegas was an expansion team, they hit the ground running. They make it to the Cup final the first year, and they've won a Stanley Cup. But since then, they've always been a team competing and an exciting team to watch. Where the Raiders go to Vegas, they've been mediocre to very poor. They there's no what's the word I'm looking for? There's no continuity with their organization, and it's really the outcome's been you know it's been bad. I mean, you look at the amount of fans that they've been able to attract from Vegas and to really embrace the city. I don't think they've done that thus far, and I think if you're the A's, you need to follow that Vegas night blueprint. As much as that pains me to say, because I'm a Sharks fan, I hate the Knights, and I'm a Raiders fan, so I wish I could say something different. But um, you have to do that. You can't come into Vegas, especially with the A's not being a very big organization. They're relatively small. They're not a worldwide iconic team or anything like that. Um, you need to attract that fan base, and the only way to do that is by winning games and by being an exciting team. So,
Yeah.
um, do you feel like with this next, because they're going to be in Sacramento one more year, right?
Hmm.
Do you feel like they're almost using these next 2 years in Sacramento to maybe not, compete or, you know, have any way of contending, but to try to hit the ground running. That way, when they do hit Vegas, they're immediately in contention, trying to win a World Series and being a elite team once they move.
Yeah, I think that's probably the plan. I think they're in a good position to do that going forward. I mean, as we've talked about, the the core of position players they put together is about as good as really any other team in the league. Um, as you mentioned, they had both the Rookie of the Year and the Rookie of the Year runner-up last year in Kurtz and Wilson. So I think the timing is kind of lining up well for them in terms of having a foundation that then they can add upon just in time for such a move like going to Vegas. But it definitely saddens me to see them leave Northern California, even if it makes business sense. I feel like the A's belong here.
No, for sure, and that's why even though we're the Golden State Take podcast, we are going to still continue to report on them, to talk about them, talk about the Raiders, because those are the teams that we grew up with them here, and so uh, they'll always be a part of the Bay Area to us. So I am looking forward to watching them this year. I didn't go to a game last year, so I'm hoping to go maybe this year.
Yeah.
But as far as predictions for the season goes, give me your final prediction for 2026 A's.
Well, 76 wins last year. I think the over under is like 78 going into this year. I would take the over. So I'd say I think they're a 500 team, 81, 82 wins, not quite in wild card contention, but maybe still playing some meaningful baseball down the stretch. Um, so I'll say 81 wins,
Yeah, well, and you said they had 76 last
76
year,
last year.
and but they had a historically bad, what was
May.
it, May,
Yeah.
where they were so. Assuming that doesn't happen again, which by how bad they played, I don't think it will.
Hmm.
I do think they'll get to 80. I think I'm gonna go a little bit higher. I think they could get to 83, 84 wins again, assuming they don't have a month like they did in May. I think they will be better. I think they will show improvements. I think that they had a better rotation. I think I really do think they maybe could have gotten up into close to 90, teetering with that. But based off where they're at pitching wise, I think that's going to bring them down. I think 83, 84 is going to be about where they end up. But nevertheless, I think they'll be fun to watch, and a lot of things to be excited about moving forward for them.
Yeah, definitely.